I'm back. This is part 2, apparently. You're watching Good Morning USA with Mr. Nick. Let's finish up. So anyway, the American prisoners from the Korean War were returning home with horrific tales of brainwashing techniques used by their Soviet, Chinese, and North Korean captors. Techniques perfected in Stalin's notorious Gulag of prisons for political captors. Techniques perfect. Yeah, I already read that. Dissidents. Moscow had also recently ended Washington's monopoly on nuclear weapons, and CIA counterintelligence head James Jesus Angleton was increasingly convinced that a mole had penetrated the highest level of the agency. To counterpunch, the CIA launched research. Into mind control methods that came to be known as MK Ultra. First aimed at manipulating prisoners with the ultimate goal of influencing foreign leaders, MK Ultra quickly ballooned into an umbrella project for approximately 150 sub-projects. Researchers studied perception, behavioral analysis, religious cults, personality conditioning, microwave sensory deprivation, and most notoriously hallucinogenic drugs. Initial experiments employed volunteers, but because of MK Ultra's rapid growth, coupled with its clandestine nature, researchers increasingly turned to unsuspecting foreign nationals and Americans to test their theories and data. Documents later declassified show that covert CIA grants also funded research at some of the country's leading universities and institutes. Many professors said they were stunned when they learned that they had been conducting mind control experiments to battle the Soviet threat. Boy, some interesting things out there in there as far as the news. Interesting, but probably very disturbing in many ways for many people. During one exchange with Kennedy in the 1977 hearings, the CIA's Mr. Turner said that the shroud of extreme secrecy was needed to keep MK Ultra operationally viable, but he acknowledged that it stemmed from fears that the public would be outraged if the program was ever exposed. LSD and brothels. One MK Ultra project involved CIA-run brothels in San Francisco and New York City, established specifically to study LSD's effect on unsuspecting adults. The theory was the LSD might have use as a truth serum to force enemy agents to talk. According to declassified documents in Senate testimony, Project Midnight Climax ran in San Francisco from 1955 to 1965 on Telegraph Hill, a short walk from North Beach's rowdiest bars. There, CIA-employed prostitutes served acid-laced cocktails to men they lured. The L-shaped building boasted erotic wall art by French artist Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, if I said that right. Sweeping waterfront views and recording devices disguised as electrical outlets. Bedrooms also featured two-way mirrors to allow observers supervised by a Bureau of Narcotics agent who doubled as CIA operative to watch. Regardless of the experiment's legality, CIA analysts initially greeted the work enthusiastically. Operatives reported that it helped refine sexual blackmail tactics, surveillance technology, LSD's use of interrogations, and how to better use empathy as an investigation tactic. But Project Midnight Climax soon grew beyond the control of its handlers, with brothel operatives later admitting that they had dosed unsuspecting subjects at Francisco Bar with his service. Okay. In one case, a U.S. Marshal held up a San Francisco bar with his service revolver after an MK Ultra agent slipped LSD into his bourbon and soda. Other experiments had even more tragic results. During a mid-1950s retreat in rural Maryland, CIA operative and biological warfare specialist Frank Olson had his tincture laced with LSD by his supervisor. 9 days later, Olson plunged to his death from the window of a New York City hotel room. By 1963, CIA Inspector General John Ehrman recommended closing down the program. Concurrently, CIA activity was shifting focus to Vietnam. By the time the agency stopped the work in 1965, thousands had unwittingly tripped on LSD. So I'm not going to go ahead and read anymore. The politics of exposure. As the 1960s came to an end, Washington lawmakers declared LSD illegal, and the CIA quietly shut down the covert MKUltra program. In the early 1970s, CIA Director Richard Helms, who ran the agency from 1966 to 1973, along with one of MKUltra's architects, Sidney Gottlieb, ordered all the relevant paperwork destroyed. Across Washington, as Watergate revelations shook the country, paranoia shifted from Moscow to the U.S. government, where James R. Schlesinger succeeded Helms as CIA director. He ordered agency employees to shed light on past illegal activities. Details of Project Midnight Climax, in addition to questions about Olson's. Well, about Olson's, okay. Exposed MKUltra, okay. Seymour Hersh connected the dots in a major... Details of Project Midnight Climax, in addition to questions about Olson's fatal plunge in New York, had begun circulated in 1974. Investigative journalist Seymour Hersh connected the dots in a major article that exposed MKUltra. When President Nixon resigned, Gerald Ford took over the White House, and two of his lead staffers, Donald H. Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney, wanted to prosecute Mr. Hersh for revealing government secrets. Instead, Ford appointed a committee to investigate America's intelligence community, which led to the Church Commission and to Kennedy's MKUltra hearings. So there can be some good for a Church Commission on that sort of thing, so that your government doesn't invade personal privacies like they have so badly lately. And it's just because when you allow a government, really any agency, I mean, it's even happening to companies, when you allow them to grow out of control, well, then they, half the reason a company like GE sells off half the stuff, because they're a highly focused company, even though they are more elite, they're a more highly focused company on their goals. Anyway. And no, I'm not a GE buff. I almost had a job with GE, but that was years ago. Don't know if it would have worked anyways. At the time, I had a mother who had just gotten sick. So, my friends, being that this is the second part of the video, and this video camera has already cut me off once, I'm going to leave it at that. Please pay attention to your weather. If you live in, especially if you live in Texas, watch the radar. What I'd recommend is seriously downloading something like WeatherBug. WeatherBug has something called Spark, which is a lightning detector. Just overall, just please stay safe. Oh my God, and please pray for the people of Houston, Texas. Please pray for all people in Texas, Louisiana, and anywhere else where you happen to see, monitor those storms, and anywhere else you happen to see major weather events. And if you think that this could be, let's say, artificially made, partly or partially, at least partially artificially made, if you think it could have something to do with a person, you can leave your comments. But we're not going to get into much to the political side of that, until the disaster is over and the majority of the relief efforts have already taken place. There'll be another day for that, for us to get into, whether our government is doing something secretly to try to modify the weather. In my own personal belief, I believe that would be a little difficult to do, because that comes from one source, really, the weather and the clouds. I don't think you can really artificially manipulate something that comes from God. It comes from the higher powers, and we're not down here. We're not the higher powers. We're in human form, and we can only be as smart as God made us. But you can always learn. You can always educate yourself. And oh my God, please get off the CNN kick, everybody. The CNN kick is, they are Communist News Network. And we all know who ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC are. I like to call the one PMSNBC. Anyway, really appreciate all you guys do for me. I did create a GoFundMe account. If you guys want to, there's a link below. I'm going to. It appears it's not working very well, so I'm going to try to fix it and have a live working link. And we will hopefully see you tomorrow. Weez will hopefully see you tomorrow. I sound like I've been drinking something, but I haven't. A little happy because I got my lower teeth fixed there, so I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. And I don't know if you guys noticed a couple days ago, but I do have some implants right here in the bottom, and for a while, hurt to have them in. Anyway, but they got nice little cleaning today, and the bottom's got a nice little adjustment, so I'm feeling pretty good. I want to thank you again all for watching Good Morning USA. I'm your host, Mr. Nick. And please remember to pray for all your loved ones. Pray for all those in Texas. Pray for all in Houston, Texas, all of Texas, Louisiana, and anywhere else where they're dealing with disasters. Please, 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 please. And also please pray for me. And speaking of prayer, you can also check out my website. It is called Fantastic Faith and Fellowship Forum. It is located at, I believe it is www.proboards. I think it's www.nicker.proboards.com. I'll double check and make sure that it's all working. And I'm hoping it will. So I've got a couple days to upload it, and look for me on tomorrow morning early, around 6:30, 7 o'clock, whenever this gets aired. Alright, my friends, I really, my family, friends, loved ones, subscribers, have a great day, and God bless you all. This is Mr. Nick for Good Morning USA. I'm out.